Welcome to another edition of Sticks-n-Stones. Give me just a second. We're going to kick this off uh, live. But I got to get the recording going first. So here we go. Hey, Stoners. Welcome to another edition of Sticks-n-Stones. I have a great show lined up for you today. I am pairing, well, I think it's going to be a really, really good pairing today. Not to sound too redundant, but I'm pairing a great pairing. I am bringing you Maker's Mark, number 46, French Oat. French. And I am pairing that with a name that most people in the cigar world will recognize, the Cohiba Macassar. I really think this is going to be an enjoyable pairing for you. So right after this, we are going to pop the cork, cut the stick, and get to toasting. Now, the Cohiba Macassar is manufactured in the STG Esteli, Nicaragua facilities. This is a Toro 6x60 on the ring gauge. It's kind of a medium plus, medium to a little more than medium stick. The filler is a blend of, it's got a lot of them, Honduran Yamastran, Honduran La Entrada, Nicaraguan Condeje, and Nicaraguan Estele. So I said with my wonderful Spanish accent. And the binder is a Honduran Connecticut leaf, and the wrapper is my favorite, the Mexican San Andres. That is a beautiful, beautiful stick. I love the San Andres leaves. They are wonderful to me. This is the first new full-time product that Cohiba has offered in several years. The Riviera is named for the Riviera region in Mexico's Tuxtla Valley. I think the X is pronounced kind of like an S, where the cigar wrappers are grown. Also, this is the first Cohiba blend that Cohiba has done with the San Andres. And I think I did a little double take on that too. Now, visually, this is, hold that up for the live stream, folks. This is a beautiful, beautiful stick. It's a dark brown, but it almost has a marbly appearance to it. I'll try to hold that up a little closer. I don't know if the camera can pick it up completely, but it just kind of waves from dark to light, almost like a marbling, like a countertop or something. The seams are extremely tight. Yeah, they're visible, but they don't like really stand out all that much. There is some moderate veining, and the veining that is there is fairly pronounced. It's got some really thick veins in it, but there's just not very many of them. And it has you got to get my old man eyes on here, a triple cap. So, now on the nose, I get just some wonderful notes of cocoa and some leather and a little bit of like some hints of cedar in it. And it does have kind of this creamy, sweet aroma coming off of it. Now, this has been in my humidor for months, if not a year or more. So it's had a while to rest. And I have a wonderful King Chi cigar cabinet, one of the larger ones. I forget the model off the top of my head, but it's 650 plus cigars. I love that humidor. It's wonderful. King Chi, they offer some great stuff. Go look for them. Now, I told you the nose. Oh, we're gonna. I'm a little off. I cut the or recorded my other podcast, the Political Patriot. If you haven't watched it, it's also available on Spotify. Kind of F that one up just a little bit. Probably gonna get some little pieces in my mouth before it's all over with. But on the cold draw seems fairly tame. It's not like overly complex. I pick up some more sweet notes, maybe some hints of. I'm gonna tear that little piece off because I know it's gonna keep coming up. Bad cut, my fault. Rookie. There's a little bit of like cedar mixed in there with it. Some really nice kind of notes of maybe vanilla. Just kind of like, even though you're not taking in any smoke, just the aroma coming through the cold draw kind of coats your tongue a little bit in that sweet. It's hard to describe exactly. You know how vanilla is. It's kind of that coating taste on your palate. It's really good. I've paired this cigar once or twice before, and it's really good. And I think it's going to go really great with this spirit. So, anyways, all right, now let's move on. Maker's Mark, 46 French Oaked. This is a straight bourbon from Bean Suntory. That's who owns Maker's Mark now. I love the wax. It's such a great touch. And I love Maker's Mark. I haven't kept it around enough because I do so many pairings. It just doesn't get there. You know how I'm about screw caps. It's got a screw cap. But anyway, let's go ahead and glass it up while I tell you about it. It's the Maker's Mark Distillery, and it is an ongoing production, so it's not a limited time or anything like that. I'm going to do a little more. I hope that's really coming through on the mic good, because I like that. Glug, 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 glug. That's a wonderful sound. Now, this is, like I said, Kentucky Straight Bourbon, Bean Suntory, Maker's Mark Distillery. It is you double check, make sure I got that right. Yep, it is a 94 proof. And while it's a non-age statement, it's aged approximately 6 years. I think I've been sitting way too far away from the microphone. So I'm going to try and lean in, although I much prefer the visual on live stream like that. But this is the microphone here, right here, for you guys. So you're hearing me fine, but what you can't see is that far from you is my directional mic that I am recording the audio that will go to Spotify and Apple Podcast and Amazon Podcast, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, let's get back to this. The mash bill is 70% corn, so it's going to be pretty sweet. 16% wheat. It's a wheated bourbon. So wheat will have a little bit of spice to it, but not like a rye. Rye is usually really spicy. And then the remaining 14% is malted barley. Now, the visual is it is a kind of a dark copper color. Some people have akined it to a toffee. I can kind of see that, but definitely a deep copper color with really nice notes of red in it. If I'm not mistaken, the wheat that they use is red wheat. Probably where the red comes from. It has really nice legs, really clings to the glass well. And this is a under $50 a fifth bourbon. I think this was somewhere around $40, but it's less than 50 for sure. So it's not a budget buster. Now on the nose, you can really tell that Makers has like embraced the French oak staves. You get a kind of a buttery cinnamon sugar toast. My mom used to make that when I was little. I always tell her, she's like, she hates for me to say this, but I say it anyway. And that is, a lot of people are like, oh, when I was growing up, we were poor, but we didn't know it. We were poor, and I was pretty sure of it. But she would make toast in the oven, and she would butter it, and she'd put a mixture of cinnamon and sugar over it. And man, that was as good as a $10 store bought pie. It was wonderful. But you get that same kind of cinnamon, sugar, buttery toast kind of thing on this. And you pick up some raisins. And then there's more of the kind of classic bourbon vanilla and some brown sugar with some kind of faint notes of caramel in there. Uh, and even like a slight hint of caramelization on sugar, like creme brulee kind of thing. And there, I mean, there may be just a touch of fruit in it too. I hope you guys can hear me well enough on the audio. I keep forgetting to lean in, but it does have a really complex and balanced depth on the nose. This is a wonderful spirit so far, and I hadn't even tried it yet, but I'm about to on the palate. I get quite a bit of oak through the nose, kind of on the retro. It is fairly spicy. It kind of lights your mouth up pretty good. Just to be a 94, it's almost fighting above its weight. It's like it's fighting up at the 100 plus, but it's a 94 proof. But it has some really nice notes of leather and some baking spices. Maybe a little bit of like a mocha coffee kind of thing going on. Not up at the level of espresso though. That's a really good spirit. It's got a really nice sweetness on the palate, but you can't really place your finger on what kind of sweetness it is. So probably just more of like the straight cane sugary kind of sweetness. You dissolve sugar in water, Men in Black. Mm. And the baking spices and kind of that gentle sweetness. It's not overpowering. They it's a I think it's really much better than just the standard base Maker's Mark, which I really love. So I mean, this is like a really nice step up. Um, I think this is a great spirit. I hadn't even lit the stick yet. So let's go ahead and get to that using my Rocky Patel Envoy in electric powder blue, I guess. Uh, I lost my purple one. We had some work done on the house and it may have walked off with one of the workmen. I'm not really sure, but that's about the time I lost it. And they don't make these anymore. You can still find them on Amazon, but the choices are rather limited. So I went ahead and grabbed this electric powder blue before I couldn't get them anymore because I really, really love this. It's a 5 torch, does a great job of toasting up the sticks, and it is to be 5 torch. It is a butane sipper. Fly keeps buzzing around here. I'm like, you're not going to be buzzing around in a minute because there's going to be a lump of smoke around. And you're not going to like it. It is a beautiful day here at the No Shoes Bar and Grill out on the patio, deep in the heart of Republic of Texas. Uh, I know Texas is like hot. It's like 3 degrees short of the face of the sun in like July and August. But man, once it hits like October, November, it may get up in the upper 80s to around 90 during the day, but then it drops back off into the 60s at night, maybe even tinkling into the upper 50s. And it's beautiful. And if you can't be on a beach, if you can't be on a beach, Texas is a great place to be. Fairly mild winters, don't have a lot of snow, maybe just a little bit, just to make you a little nostalgic. You got a couple of months of like really hot summer, but the rest of the year is like great. Perfect patio weather. Patio is a season here in Texas, and it lasts about 6 or 8 months out of the year. And you can always tell when patio season kicks off because all of a sudden you show up somewhere at 4 o'clock on a whiskey Wednesday afternoon, and you're having to wait in line to get to the patio. And we have some, really great like Tex-Mex places around here, like Mi Cocina and this is not really, it's more of a chain, but Chewy's. Uh, and they all have really nice patios. Go out, sit, feel the breeze, take a little drinky poo, eat some chips and salsa, maybe a little cheese dip. Makes for a great afternoon. You got some folks there that you really want to hang out with, and you just enjoy yourself. Patio season is a great season here in Texas. I got something else I want to talk about, but I forgot what it was. But I'll remember it in a minute. It didn't have anything to do with this. So let me go ahead and give you this. Now, the baking spices and that gentle sweetness really kind of like bind this stick and the spirit together. There's a lot of like velvety smoke coming off of it. There does appear, as I'm looking at it, and I don't know, you really can't see it on camera, but it does appear to have a fairly toothy profile. So I'm hoping I get some little cigar oil packets that'll burst open while I'm smoking this. I love that. If you've ever seen it on a cigar and didn't know what it was, it's little packets of oil that are inside the leaf. It's natural. It's nothing that cigar companies do. And as the burn gets up to it and it gets hot enough, those little oil packets the oil inside will start expanding and it'll pop through the leaf and you'll have little wet spots. Uh, I always like that. Maybe it's just me, but I always like that. But yeah, I have really been impressed with this Makassar, Macassar, Makassar. Uh, Probably one of the best cohibas I've smoked. I've smoked quite a few cohibas, but not nearly all of them. But yeah, I mean, I really like this one. Even though it's a darker stick, it's more right at that medium strength profile, and I mean, it's a great, enjoyable smoke. Really is. And if I remember right, because I've had this, like I said earlier, I've had this for several months. I bought a 5 pack, and they were less than $50. And then may have also, sometimes I'll go and, generally I order from Cigars International, but I'll go to Thompson because I do like their Pfeiffer packs. You can order 5 packs, and like you can order up to 4. And if you get it to 4, the price goes down every time you add a 5 pack per 5 pack. So it starts at like, if you want one, it's like $29. And then it goes down to, if you get 4, it's like $24 or $22 or something like that. And you're getting 20 cigars. You can't choose more than one of a 5 pack, but it lets you get basically a box. Basically, some of them are 20 cigars in a box and some are 25. But you're basically getting a box of cigars for less than $100. And you get to kind of pick and choose. So it allows you to try other stuff. And I hate to commit to a full box of cigars if I'm not sure I'm going to like it. And that 4 for 5 for whatever they call it, 5 pack frenzy, it's great. I love it, and I will. where I do a lot of ordering like that. Because then if I, if I bought 4 or 5 packs and I've only spent like, 22 or $24 for one 5 pack, if it's not that good, I don't really care. When friends come over and want to smoke, I'll give them out those. Oh, hey, you'll love this. Most of them don't do anything like this, so they don't know whether they like it that much or not. Anyway, I love that. And I remember now that this particular stick, this Cohiba, the Makassar, the smoke really held inside the glass. That is, I love that. I just love the look of it. It has absolutely nothing to do with the cigar itself. It's really cool. And then as the spirit washes around and kind of sloshes around in the glass, so does the smoke. It's wonderful. I love it. You have to move slow, or it'll get sucked out. That's what she said. All right, for those of you on audio, I am going to put you on hold while I smoke this down to about the halfway mark, and I'll come back and give you an update. All right, so y'all get the full experience, the full Monty, as they say. So, oh, you may be able to hear in the background. I've got the TV on out here on the patio watching sports. I can't get. Somebody asked me. I went to a baby shower yesterday, and a friend of mine asked me. I was saying I was trying to try and find a place to go watch the A&M game. That was the other thing I was going to talk about. Um, because it was on ABC and I don't get that at home. And he's like, "You don't get ABC?" I'm like, "No, I don't get any of the networks." I said, "I've got, Sling or Hulu or, one of those." I said, "I get live TV, but no networks." And I've tried those newfangled antenna things. And in the den where I do most of the TV watching, I couldn't pick up a single channel. In the bedroom, I was actually able to get like 3 or 4, but they would pixelate often, really a lot. I tried it out here, couldn't get a thing. So, I think I spent like $25 or $30 on the antenna, and they go all the way up to 100 or more. I'm sure if I spent $100 on it, I could get it to pick up some channels. But like if I'm willing to spend $100 on an antenna, I'm willing to spend $100 a month on whatever cable TV I can get the pro footballs on Sunday afternoon. But I do get to watch the NFL game day, which just jumps from game to game and it's kind of showing you some of the best stuff. And I'm so ADD that that's probably the better way for me to watch it too. That is just a really great volume of smoke coming off of this stick. And, we're 3/4 of an inch in or so. Got a little bit of a wave to it, but not much more of that, just kind of natural wave. Nothing that I would think is either a problem with the stick or my lighting. My lighting skills sometimes have stuff to be desired. I really like that number 46. It is it's a really good spirit. Like I said, it seems to, kind of fight above its weight at 94 proof, but it's really good. I don't know that I'd recommend it for like somebody just jumping into the whiskey experience for the first time. Put your training wheels on. Start on something a little bit easier. Go to like a 60 proof Akashi Ume, or maybe even up into the 80s, and somewhere like a Gentleman Jack. Gentleman Jack is very smooth, very easy drinking. It's a great whiskey to start on. Uh, but the Akashi Ume is really good too. I've reviewed that a couple of times. It's not. I don't think that they consider it an infused whiskey, but they do let it age with like rock sugar plums or something like that in it. And so that really cuts down on the proof, but it's a really great spirit. Really great. I noticed we had some more people pop up. We are pairing today the Maker's Mark number 46 French oaked, kind of sounds like a sexual term, and the Cohiba Makassar. This is a Toro at 6x60 on the ring gauge. And they both have a really nice kind of gentle sweetness to them. They both have some kind of baking spices there kind of mixed in, and they've really been going together well. This is my first time trying the Maker's number 46, and it's like I was just saying, it's a really great spirit. It's probably not one for the newbie. Yeah, don't start them off on that because it does kind of fight above its weight. It's only a 94 proof, but it really feels like 100 or maybe a little more than that on the proof. But it is a great sipping whiskey. I don't know that if I was going to use Makers to mix with, I'd probably just go with the base spirit. But this is a great one. I picked this up yesterday at Total Wine, and I'll try and remember to put a link when the audio comes out, so you can like re-listen to the episode because you guys are all that's on right now. I've got the audio turned off on the podcast, so you can just click the link and go straight to Total Wine and see it and even order it if you have a Total Wine in your area. And yeah, I mean it's a really nice spirit. It's got a nice, fairly medium long finish to it. Like I still kind of feel that coating on my tongue. That's what she said. But it is really great, and I'm kind of a little deep in, even though you can see I haven't smoked much, but I live streamed my other podcast, The Political Patriot, before this, and I had an espresso martini, held my little finger up, and with a Drew Estates Java Maduro. That was a really good time too. So, and the espresso martini, I probably should have put it in the shaker and shaken it up because I put a little Blue Chair Bay mocha rum cream in it, which is really good. And the cream kind of, I don't know, it just wouldn't mix up really well. But if I'd have shaken it, it might have done all right. If I'd have shaken it. Never been really good at blowing smoke rings. Every so often I can catch a couple of good ones, but most of the time it doesn't work. I can't hold my tongue right. That's not what she said. A little more makers. Really great, uh, like the French oak staves that go into aging this spirit. You've got that really rich kind of French oak retro on it. As you're swallowing, you breathe out through your nose, and you can get all that in your olfactory system. Uh, it's a really, really, really good spirit. I have not had Makers on my shelf in far too long. Um, I used to keep a bottle of Makers. Not not this one, I don't think. Um, but they did have a previous. I have to go and research that. I didn't research that for this thing, but I used to buy for this podcast. I used to buy Makers 46. It was 92 proof, 46 ABV. That's why they called it that. And I kept a bottle of that around a lot. But then as my whiskey shelf got to expanding, I wouldn't fill it back up with that. I buy other stuff so I could because I can't just continue to rehash the same things. So I have to like really reach out there and find things that are going to be compelling for you guys. Well, John, you go right ahead and report me. I don't know exactly what you're reporting me for, but okay, whatever. really, really nice stacks of white ash with just those the little brown, black stripings. Black stripings. I don't know where brown came from. Uh, Throughout, this is. I've done this cigar a couple of times. It's a really great cigar. It's probably one of my favorites from Cohiba. So far, no oily tooth deposits. It's a little disappointing. I really, when I looked at this particular stick, it seemed to have a lot of tooth on it, but apparently it's just the way it's rolled because nothing showed up yet. But I really do love a cigar that gives me some little wet tooth spots on the wrapper. Now this is for those of you that have just joined and want to report me or whatever. Um, the Cohiba Makassar has I have to go back in my notes because this is a long list. The filler is Honduran, Yamastran, Honduran, La Entrada, Nicaraguan, Condeje, and Nicaraguan Estelle. That's just in the filler. The binder is a Honduran Connecticut leaf. And if you've watched many of my episodes, that I love a Mexican San Andres wrapper, and that's what this one has. Some cigars I've ordered, I haven't even noticed that I'm getting a lot of San Andres wrappers, and I don't know if that's just me not noticing until after I bought it, or if it is, and I think it could be, like 50-50. Because I love the San Andres leaf, and so when I see one, I want to try that cigar. But then also, it's become kind of the chic thing. Like a few years ago, they announced that rye had been making a comeback. It's kind of the same thing, but I don't think San Andres is making a comeback. I think it's really just exploding onto the scene. So, but the two together have some really great notes of baking spice, and there's some really nice vanilla-y notes and caramel, and then you have the oak from the French oak staves in the spirit, and that's really blending well with the cedar and the kind of gentle sweetness and the sprinkle of baking spices in both. That is just really making this an excellent, excellent pairing. And we are getting, we're about a third of the way. So y'all still have a while to hang with me before I actually have to bring the other folks back on. So, and this is not a, there's not a long finish on this cigar. When, after you let the smoke out of your mouth, literally within a few seconds, kind of the flavor kind of dies off, where the spirit is probably more of a medium long, and it will hold on for a little while. So when you're pairing the two together, you really are kind of on this like roller coaster ride between the medium short finish on the stick and the medium long finish on the spirit. There's been some people pop on since this is kind of I love doing this, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the palette or profile of either the spirit or cigar. I just love the way it looks. And this cigar probably, when I put the smoke in the glass, it probably hangs longer than any other cigar I've tried. Don't know why, but uh, yeah, it will hang on. It will, as long as you don't move it and allow the air to pull it out of the Glencairn. Uh, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I actually found out recently I am sort of Scottish and Irish, and Glencairn, whatever. Uh, anyway, so it hangs in the glass a lot more. And I just like the way it looks. It doesn't have anything to do with the experience, other than it just looks cool. And there's not been a whole lot of change thus far. Maybe a little bit of earthiness coming in. You know, I mean, there's, like I just said a few minutes ago, there's a lot of different leaves that go into the filler in this one. I think it's like, hang on, I don't want to tell you wrong. Somebody might report me. See, John, I'm gonna have a lot of fun at your expense. One, two, three, four. It has four different leaves in the filler, and then you have the binder, and then the wrapper. So altogether, you have six different leaves in the leaves in the profile of this stick. So it's fairly complex stick, and I know on the Maker's 46, while the palette may not be overly complex, the nose on it is. The nose on this Spirit has got a lot of things going on. Uh, and get all the get all the smoke out of it. Still smell a little bit of the smoke, but yeah, it's got kind of that like buttery, cinnamon, sugary toast thing kind of going on from my childhood. Um, I get some raisins in the nose, along with like some hints of brown sugar and caramel. And then there's kind of and this probably has to do with the charred oak barrels that they use, uh, um, kind of a creme brulee. You know how they char the top and make that little crust, kind of that aroma coming off the nose of the stick. I really love this Spirit. I do. Probably going to be one of my favorite bourbons. And it is a Kentucky straight bourbon. So, you know, if you're a whiskey snob, I'm really not. I mean, you know, I like I like having a variety. I've got quite a few Texas bourbons. There's some really good distilleries here in Texas, uh, and you know, Jack Daniel's is Tennessee whiskey, and then you've got Clyde Mays. I think Clyde Mays is the Alabama whiskey. There's one from Alabama, one of the more well-known ones. But and still, I mean, we're well into this cigar. The ash hasn't dropped in my lap, and it is still producing those wonderful stacks of white ash with a little thin black layer lines between them. And I'll show you. I mean, I haven't touched this stick up or anything. It has a little wave to it, but that's what you would consider to be more of a natural wave. You know, I mean, things don't just burn even. Uh, wow. I'm hearing birds coming through my, whatever these are called, because I can hear what I'm saying. It's like I'm in a bird sanctuary. Wow. Y'all probably aren't hearing this, but these go to my blue blue microphone, whatever this is. Blue is the Blue Yeti is like the big one that, and I didn't get that one. But it's still Blue, the company, and it picks up a lot, and that's what goes into the recording. Because I can't hear exactly how it's coming through on you guys. You know, maybe one day, maybe one day I'll be like Joe Rogan. I kind of doubt it though. Maybe if I did more interviews. So, but one, I think. Yeah, just one. Uh, Brandon from Big Sky Cigars. They make some really good cigars, and of course they're made in Central America, but the company is in Montana, and so they're the only cigar manufacturer in Montana, even though they don't manufacture the cigars there. They have some really good cigars though. The Cryptic, I think, is probably one of my favorites. Um, Yellowstone was really good too. That one probably could be my favorite. I really love the Yellowstone. Other than the Cryptic, all of their cigar line was based off of rivers in Montana. So they had the Bitterroot, the Yellowstone, three or four others. And then they also had a nonprofit where they would bring veterans up to do like fly fishing and stuff like that, like disabled veterans and things. And so, I mean, it's very admirable. I am a disabled veteran myself, so I understand, even though I never participated in any of that stuff. Well, I'd love to go fly fishing in Montana, but it's kind of like I could get military discounts at a lot of different places, and I don't ever do that. Just don't. About the only place is Lowe's, and that's because I, put in my phone number about seeing what you buy, and I'm in the My Lowe's program or whatever, and it comes up automatically. So, but I don't go in and say, hey, do you military discounts? I don't. Not one of those folks. Just not. I mean, if you are and you do, that's great. I love it, but I just don't do it. Well, I think we're getting close here to the halfway mark. Oh, look at there. And just as I set it down, the ash dropped. So we were well over an inch, probably close to an inch and a half before the ash dropped off of it. So we're going to bring the folks back in, and I will give all of you an update. Make sure I push the right button here. One time I didn't, and I stopped the recording. And so then I actually had to pick up from there and do two recordings. Yeah, this is a lot to keep up with. So, hey, stoners, I am back. Here at the halfway mark, the stick has, I just told the folks on live stream a couple of minutes ago that there's probably a little more earthiness and maybe a little bit of nuttiness that have filtered their way into the stick. And while the sweetness is definitely still there, it may have kind of pulled back just a hair. The Maker's Mark is still doing an excellent job of complementing the stick, and it is really making for an enjoyable experience. If you're now listening to this for the first time on audio, you really miss some of the nuances that I just rattle about while I'm doing the live stream. Uh, but these two are really going great together. This is probably my favorite Cohiba stick that I've tried, and yeah, they're doing some pretty good things here. And the Maker's Mark, it's like I said in the beginning, I don't think it's an entry rookie level spirit, um, but it's not far from that. I mean, you'd start at a little bit lower, and this would be probably something you'd work your way up into fairly quickly. And then you get into the rare breeds and all that kind of stuff that's like 115, 117, 128 proof. That's the big boy club. Yeah, I don't go there very often, even though I do have a membership card. Yeah, the sweetness and kind of the baking spices off both of these, they really do tie this together. And now you have that kind of earthiness and nuttiness that have kind of brought some extra added things to the package. Uh, I think this is an excellent pairing here working. But I am going to go ahead and burn this down to the band, and I will come back and give you an update and my final thoughts. All right, there we go. got those folks satisfied for a little while. I didn't finish my Java, but I needed to go ahead and get this started. But those that you might join late, I have two podcasts, and the other one is the Political Patriot, and so I did that. I did that right before I did this, and so I always have like either just a spirit or a spirit and a cigar, but I'm not doing like the pairing thing. I kind of tell people about it a little bit, how good they are, how bad they are, whatever. But um, it's not. That's not the focus. I like being able to have those kinds of conversations when I have a drink and a smoke right there with me, and it's kind of one of those things that you just have something in your hand working all the time that, that's what she said. And it does kind of take up a little time. Kind of like that. A few seconds of me just taking a puff off the cigar and then taking a sip. Really good. And I think the farther we get into the stick, the stronger the French oak gets in my nostrils as I retro inhale off of the spirit. That's just a really, really good spirit to not be like I won't top shelf, but more financially top shelf. Like I actually had a bottle of Jimmy Walker, Johnny Jimmy Walker. That was his cousin, Johnny Walker Blue Label. That was a gift. I love Johnny Walker. I love their green label, and I think they call it their gold label. I love those two expressions, but um, the blue label, not so much. I'm a lower peat, lower smoke kind of guy when it comes to scotches, and those are a bit much for me. Or that one, the blue label. But I drank it, blue label. But the first time I tried it was I was back when in my former iteration as a tax consultant, and I was out in another city. I think I was in Houston on a job for a client, and of course we're billing all of our stuff through to them, and so they got to pay for it. But uh, that one shot was $50, and it wasn't worth it. Let me say that again. Oh man, I got ash all over me. Um, no, it wasn't. It wasn't worth $50. I wouldn't have paid it if it was me, but I was passing it on through to the client. So you know, uh, that was a really cool gig. Working for a CPA firm, doing state and local tax consulting. Get to travel around. Like I spent one January, I uh, I was in New York City from either Monday or Tuesday through Thursday or Friday every week for the month of January. That's been, wow, 11 years ago. So, uh, but oh yeah, it was great. I mean, I had like 3 or 4 flights in a row because I always tried to fly Delta if I could, uh, where I was the number one person in line because I had built up so many points and I was at their highest level, gold level, whatever it is, in their frequent flyers. And I would do the early check in. And I'm kind of OCD about this kind of stuff. You can check in 24 hours before the flight. I was online at 24 hours and 5 minutes waiting with my mouse and my finger over the mouse button. And as soon as the clock ticked to the 24 hours, and I would get the number one spot on the plane. So I get on a plane, and if that was its origination, I would get on the plane and I'd have every single seat I could choose from. They're stopping that, but I don't travel much anymore. Now it's generally just for pleasure. I got out of that world. COVID got me out of that world. So the company I was with when COVID hit. I made it through the first round of layoffs, but I did not make it through the second. So, hey, at least I got to stay an extra 90 days or so. But yeah, so then I got into government service. So I'm telling you, folks, I don't know if guys, girls, whatever's on, this Cohiba Makassar is a really great medium strength stick. I always try and tell people if you're just getting into cigars, start with mild cigars. Those are generally the Connecticut Leafs, the light tan ones. There is the binder in this, the way a cigar is rolled, if there's anybody on here that is not familiar. You take the filler leaves. In this case, there are 4 different kinds of filler leaves. And I don't know how many they put in each cigar, but anyway, they take their filler leaves and they roll those up in a binder. Binders are wrapper leaves, typically, that for whatever reason, cosmetically, do not make the cut to be a wrapper, because the wrappers, I mean, they pretty much have to be almost perfect visually, or the manufacturers won't sell them, or they'll sell them as knockoff seconds. You know, and they'll generally sell them in a bundle. Rocky Patel does this a lot with their like vintage 1990, 1992, 1999, 2006, I think. And you buy a bundle. They don't come in a box. They're just wrapped up in paper, a bundle. And they're a whole lot less than paying the full price for a box. So, and if it's just you and you're not, you know, you have no reason to need them to look perfect when you light them up, which is most people. It's a good way, if you like that particular stick, it's a good way to get that stick in your humidor for a lot less than 3 digits before the decimal. And taste exactly the same. Like I said, just for whatever reason, it did not cosmetically make the cut. When the inspector looks at it, they're like, no, this one's got this imperfection in it, that imperfection in it, whatever. We're going to use that as a binder, or we're going to use it to make some seconds. And I want to say that the Rocky Patel seconds, like, because I love the 1990 and 1992s, the vintage 1990, 1992, that's what they call it. I love the cigars, and the boxes are like $150, $200 a box, but you can buy 20 of the seconds for like $49, $69, something like that. So you're talking half or more savings, just because it doesn't look perfect. And they always sell them without the band. They won't even put the band on them. So you unwrap it and it's just bare stick cigars. I feel like I do a whole lot more smoking than I do drinking on this. And I had football on a minute ago, but this ain't that. Hang on. I want to get back to my NFL experience or whatever. And once I would come back, I don't know, I may not even talk about it. Today's Sunday, October 27th. Yesterday, I guess I am going to talk about it. My my Texas A&M Fighting Aggies came back to win handily against the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Hope none of you are Tiger fans. I'm sorry if you are, but I'm gonna boast a little bit. We got a little wave in it here down in the last half, where it's been, it's been wavy, but it's been fairly consistent. Yeah, my Aggies were down when we went out to a little sports bar here right outside the neighborhood, and because I don't get ABC, that's a whole nother story if you're coming in late. So we went out and had dinner at this sports bar, have some really great spicy chicken sandwiches and some wonderful fries. And I had a couple of Samuel Adam Oktoberfest beers. And hey, that ball's out before he hit the ground. Get on that. Um, and so we sat and watched until halftime. And halftime was still not looking good. They were down 17-7 or 10-0 or something like that. And I managed to be able to get the game. I've got a subscription to ESPN Plus, and I was actually able to open the game and cast it from my phone onto the TV. And I got to watch the second half. Man, I'm glad I did, because they took out uh, Weigman. My ancestry is German, so if the I is second, you always pronounce it more with the I, and if it's the E is second, you pronounce it more with the E, and his is WEI, so I say Weigman. Uh, he's starting quarterback, and they took him out about halfway through the third quarter and put in their freshman, he lit it up when Weigman was injured, the second, third, maybe fourth week of the season, and he just lit it up big time. And then when Weigman was healthy, they put him back in again. But yesterday, about halfway through the third quarter, they're like, "Son, you need to sit down, just take a break. We're not getting anywhere with you." And they brought in Marcel Reed. He's the little freshman quarterback, and they scored 4 touchdowns in a row. And their fifth time having the ball, they got a field goal. So they scored every single time they had the ball with Reed in as a quarterback. And now the Aggies sit atop the SEC, the only undefeated team in the SEC. Even those Texas Longhorns are below us. We could be the second to last team in the conference, and as long as the Longhorns were below us, we're having a great season. It's the way it is. Huge rivalry. So, but yeah, Texas came over to the SEC, and I saw these. This was going to be their first season. It was actually early. I think they weren't actually supposed to come over for like another year or two, and they came in and started this year, and they're all crowing out. They're just off. SEC, we're going to come in. We're going to mop the floor with these guys. No, you nearly got beat by Vanderbilt yesterday. You won by 3 points, a field goal to Vanderbilt. So, welcome to the SEC. There are teams all across this country that are stronger than teams in the SEC. But when you look at top to bottom, there is no conference in the country with as strong a teams as there is in the SEC, where any team on any given day can beat you, whether it's Vanderbilt or a few years ago, it was Missouri that only had like 1 or 2 wins in the season, but they beat somebody. And I know, Texas lost to Georgia. Georgia was the national champion last year, but they haven't really shown that they're national champion material this year. We'll see. There's been some ESPN writers talking about A&M, saying, A&M's a dark horse for the playoffs, and I'm not getting all into that. There's been too many years of mediocrity. I am excited, though, to win a game every week. If we win this week, whoop, giggle, we won. And if we don't, all right, we'll see what happens next week. But this is Mike Elko's first year. I think he's going to be a great hire for him. He's already, I haven't seen a single Aggie fan bitching about our season. Of course, we've only lost 1 game, and that was the very first game of the year, which should be a patsy, but it was number 5 in the country, Notre Dame. So our strength of schedule is actually pretty stout. And that's all I have to say about football. So I know y'all don't want to listen to all that. Although I've thought about, should I have an Aggie podcast? But I'm just like, I don't know. I can do the political thing over on the Political Patriot without a whole lot of prep because I just kind of I watch that stuff all week long, and I can do this because it's what I'm doing on the weekend anyway. So, but to try and do a sports podcast, oh, man, Chipotle. If you haven't tried it, I'm not getting any money for this. I'm plugging them, and I'm just plugging them because I love it. Chipotle has a brisket bowl. Wow, it is delicious. If you haven't tried it, you should. It is wonderful. Now I'm actually kind of hoping we have it tonight, although I'm pretty sure Mrs. Sticks-n-Stones will want to fix something. We normally, we eat at home like during the week, unless I've got two kids. Yeah, I'm 55. Yeah, yeah, look at that. Uh, I still got two teenagers at home, a sophomore and a freshman, and both girls, both cheerleaders, like their older sister. She was a cheerleader. She was a competitive cheerleader for years until she broke her back in a car accident, and she was never able to get back into competing shape. And she was at that point. She always said, if you ever get to a point where you're afraid of getting hurt and it comes into your mind, and yeah, that was kind of the same way. Hey, I think Mrs. Sticks-n-Stones is home. I just got a indication that her garage door just went up. Sorry, I'm a disabled veteran from Iraq and Afghanistan. I got cameras all over the place. I keep the place monitored all the time. Anyway, so sometimes during the week, so you got one's freshman, one's sophomore. They may cheer at, because they have a freshman team. And the freshman may include some sophomores. You have the varsity team, and it's just different teams. Oh, dude, you gonna start mowing now? Really? Such as it is with live media, right? You just got to take it as it comes. That's why I don't let Sadie, the political lab out here. I let her out uh, before I started the first one. She came out, and she don't care what the water temperature is. She's a silver lab, which is a chocolate lab that there's a particular uh, gene in their genome or whatever that is tripped or not tripped or whatever, so that when they're born, they look almost exactly like a Weimaraner. They're this silvery gray with the light blue eyes. But then once they're about 8 weeks old, 9 weeks old, somewhere around in there, most of them lose the eyes. The eyes become more of a yellowish green. And then as she has gotten older, she's 4.5 now. She's turned more grayish than gray, and that's sort of typical. But I love her to death. My mom constantly says it's the most spoiled dog she's ever seen in her life. Yeah, she is. So, but it had nothing to do with the. That's just my other daughter. It has nothing to do with the ones that uh, cheerlead. And so sometimes we're at games on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, or Thursday night, somewhere in there, and it's hard to games end at 7:30. It's hard to come home and make dinner, so you get something. But Mrs. Sticks-n-Stones, she likes home cooking. She thinks it's good for the kids, which it is. So, and we sit down and eat as a family, and we pray and all that kind of stuff. You got to raise them up right. You raise them up right, they make good adults. If you don't, kind of like Jimbo down here, Joe Bob, whatever his name is, that says he can report me. Okay, well, go ahead. I don't care. I don't know what you're going to report me for. I don't think I've said a damn cuss word yet, and I can smoke cigars. I've been doing it for 4 years on here, and there's actually more. I get more issues with the cigar smoking from some of the social medias than I do drinking. I could sit here and just get completely hammered, and they don't care. But all that woke social justice crap, please. there's Sadie. You can hear her. She's she's like a 90-pound miniature Shetland pony. Yeah, she got short legs. You know, most female labs are much shorter than the males. Uh, and she's like almost twice as long as she is tall. It's amazing. You don't really notice it until she lays down, and you're like, good God, those little legs, they're only about that long. And but she's about, I can't even get it on the screen. From nose to tail, she's probably 5 feet. Because she's got a fairly long tail. It's really thick. Labs use their tail as kind of a rudder. So I don't know if y'all are interested in any of this, but you know, it's all about the cigar and the whiskey or whatever I'm pairing that day. We are getting close. I mean, we're getting close. And I'm really enjoying this stick. It's not overpowering. It's never gotten above maybe a little more than medium strength. But I think this is a really good stick for somebody that's ready to jump up from the, the lighter colored sticks, the more mild sticks, which are the Olive has like their G's and O's, and I think the V's are really more darker wrappers, but the G's and O's are a really mild stick. Uh, the Hyde Park from Macanudo, that's a fairly mild stick. Those are really good ones for people to jump in to the cigar world on, because if you jump into some of the darker ones that are a little more full strength, uh, and you are not really careful about how you smoke them, you'll be like, "Oh, I don't ever want to do this again." I've really gotten sick of a few cigars back in my early days. That you know, you're smoking. Well, here's a little story. When I was in the Air Force in the reserve, I had to go to my unit every month for my 3 days, 2 days, 2.5 days, whatever it is. And so I'd have to drive from Memphis to Little Rock. This was before I moved to the Republic of Texas. And me and a buddy of mine in the unit, we always paired up in the room because you had, two queen beds in the room, so they made you have two people there to be economical. And we were going to stand outside the room and smoke a cigar, and it was in the middle of winter, and it's cold as hell. And I tried to smoke that cigar a little too fast. I ended up having to lay down and go to sleep. Yeah, I don't even think I finished it. Uh, but it was like smoking a cigarette. Don't do that. Yeah. Puff slowly. Enjoy the experience. That's what cigars are all about. You know, uh, we are a much different animal than cigarette smokers. Oh man, and I talked too long. I talked too long. Now we're getting to the end. I was there talking about don't get sick and ended up doing the opposite. Rock Patel Envoy. It's a 5 torch. I love it. This is my second one. First one I walked off with a Workman, but they don't make these anymore. They now have this one's called the Envoy, and I can't remember what the new one is called, but it's a taller, more slender, lighter. I just didn't really like the look of it as well. But you can still find some of these on Amazon, and you can go to the Sticks-n-Stones page on Amazon, STICKS dash N dash STONEZ. Put that in your Amazon search bar, and you'll find me. I have a store out there, and one of the lists that I have is stuff that I use for this, and it's got the lighters and the cutters, and cigarism is where I get a lot of my like I have a single stick ashtray that is made out of a solid chunk of aluminum, and it's great for just putting here. Since I was doing the political patriot thing before this, I brought over the old little stinky, uh, but Yeah, that single stick is great. You can set it on your table out on the patio, and it doesn't like stand out and look ugly. Uh, and I have to keep Mrs. Sticks-n-Stones happy. But anyway, you can go to there. You can go there. You can see a lot of the stuff that I use. Like I've got a leather travel humidor that's cedar lined inside. It'll hold like 5 or 6 sticks. It's got a place for Bovita packet to keep them humidified just right, and then a couple of little spots for your lighter and your cutter to go in. And when I go down to the Sticks-n-Stones Southern Command in Florida, uh, down to PCB, I got a place down there, and so I always, we go stay a week. I'll take 5 cigars with me. Mm, I'm telling you, there's really not been a much of a difference from beginning to end. I mean, we're getting real close to being at the end. It hasn't really offered anything new than that earthiness and nuttiness at halftime. Halftime, I'm looking up at football. A halfway mark, I guess it is halftime. Uh, but what it has offered has been really, really good. Uh, it just, I think I've smoked like 3 of these, and I think every one has been a little better than the one before. I'm going to take a break here. A little Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. I am watching my figure. I'm 55, and I've lost 60 pounds in the last 16 months or so. I'm trying to keep it that way. I love Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. It's really good stuff. Uh, Mostly what I drink is it's a Kroger brand um, zero sugar decaffeinated tea by in gallon jugs. Yeah. Yeah. I had to look at the time because I have to go to HEB. Those of you from Texas may not know anything about HEB. HEB is a local grocery store. They're not as big as like the big, huge chains grocery stores, but they're pretty big. And most or a big lot of what they offer there is made in Texas. So Texas folks loves to shop at HEB. When they opened the first one here in Dallas, we went over and you literally had to stand in line around the corner of the building to get in. And when you went inside, it was shopping cart to shopping cart the entire time you were in there. Now then, it's still really really busy, but it's not like that. You can go in and get around, but you'll still have to. There'll be people on every aisle and that kind of stuff. It's busy, but they do have a few other things other than grocery stuff. It's kind of like going to the bigger Krogers. You got a little bit of home goods and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like right now, we got a big section for Halloween and everything, but it's mostly groceries. So, and I got to where I was going with that is I got an order to pick up between 5 and 5:30. I'm like, I put the order in last night, sitting in my chair watching A&M, and I can put all the stuff in there that I want to buy and pay for it. Tell them when I want to pick it up the next day, and just drive up and park in the little parking spot and text them what spot I'm in, and they bring it right out to me. Now I don't get stuff that uh, like fruit because those folks are not gonna, those people that they pay to go around and pick up all the stuff you're wanting. You're talking about like fruit and vegetables. They're not going to just pick it up and really inspect it and look at it and say, okay, this is like they're doing their own stuff. Uh, so I do that stuff myself. Like I have to go past Kroger to get to HEB, and I'll stop at Kroger and I'll buy because I eat fruit every morning: blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, raspberries, um, and I'll stop there and get my tea and get fruit because I can look at it and decide if I want it or not. And I pick everything else up at HEB. So, you know, that is one of the benefits that has come from COVID. I'm still spending the same amount of money, but not taking me as long to do it. I'll tell you this. I went, hate to even say their name, but I went to that place last night to get my tea and picked up a couple other things while I was there because I get granola there. I like their brand of organic granola. I eat that every morning with some Cheerios. Anyway, so I was picking up a couple other things and I've got my stuff and I'm standing in line because I only go where there's people to check you out. I'm not one of these self-service kind of people. I'm paying the premium. I'm paying the price to have somebody check me out so I don't have to do it myself. And this lady, one of their employees walks up, "Hey, I can get you right over here." That's what she said. "Hey, I can get you right over here." Okay. She takes me over to the self-service line. She puts my stuff down and she walks off. "Hey, where'd you go? You said you were going to get me over here." So I'm never falling for that again. "No, ma'am, I'm fine right here." "Nope, I'm fine right here. Uh, you do not you did not train me on how to be a checker, and I went to law school so that I don't have to be a checker. I'm going to let somebody else do the checking." Now, those of you out there can be all pissed off about that if you want, but that's just the way it is. Hey, I'm keeping you employed by having you check me out. So, all right. I mean, I think we're close enough down to the band that we can we can call it a day. So I'm gonna bring the other folks in and try to lean into the microphone here. So, hey, stoners, I am back. During the last half, the cigar really maintained its profile. There wasn't really much in the way of additions in the last half. It was it really stayed kind of creamy and a little sweet. Had a little bit of earthiness and nuttiness there towards the center. Some nice baking spice notes all throughout the stick. It was a very good burner. I only had to touch it up like once, and that was in the last half. I think it went out on me when I was talking to the people on live stream a little too much. If you're not listening to me on live stream, I am a little erratic. I'm not on at the exact same time every time, but I try to be. I try to be close. So, it's usually Sunday afternoon, somewhere around 2 o'clock or so, Central US time. But anyway, and it went exceptionally well with the Maker's Mark number 46 as I take another sip as the glass is almost empty. So people on live stream can see. Mm. The Maker's Mark 46 is just loaded with that really nice French oak on the palate, along with really an exceptional amount of vanilla and sweetness. It's not overly sweet. It's kind of a gentle sweetness, but it's I mean, it borders on being like syrupy sweet. You're on up there in the sweetness rank, but it's not overpowering. It's really good and it really blends well with kind of the baking spices that you're getting off of this Cohiba Makassar. This is a great stick. I would give this stick, I'd give it an 88 out of 100, and I may be undercutting it a little bit, but I would rather under report and over deliver than the other way around. And the Maker's Mark, after the first half, I really was thinking somewhere in the 89 range, but I think I may boost this Maker's Mark up to like a 91. I was thinking about an 89, but I do think it's up worthy of a 90 plus. I do. It's a really, really good bourbon, and you should try them. The Maker's Mark is number 46, and it's called French Oaked. And it is a delicious spirit. It is better than their base spirit. It costs a little more. You're going to pay about a $15 premium on a fifth. You can get regular Maker's Mark somewhere around 25 or $30. And this was around 40 or 45, something like that, I think. but exceptional spirit, and you will love it. I know. And that would, it's a little above the beginner spirit, but it's right in there close. It's 94 proof. It's got some great palate notes. It has a wonderfully complex nose on it. Should definitely try them. I hope you've enjoyed this pairing today as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please hit like, subscribe, share, notify, tell all your friends about it. Tell them about this crazy dude doing this cigar and spirit pairing. There's not a tremendous amount of people that do what I do. You have people that review spirits and you have people that review cigars. I do both. So, and I do them together. And but please let me know what you think about if you try these, what you think about them. Oh, they suck, or whatever. I don't care. It's just like the dude that said he's going to report me. That's fine. Whatever you want to do, that's fine. I don't care. But be sure that you're sharing so that even the people that hate me can see me. I don't care if you hate me or not. That's fine. Uh, Come and take it, brother. Come and take it. I live in Texas, the Republic of. So the only state that was ever its own country. So until we get to be together again, keep your sticks dry, your stones cold, and have a great day.